Hello everyone, wishing you a very good morning. I hope I am audible and visible to all of you. Good morning, Swati. Good morning, Jayashankar. I hope you are fine. Well, good morning, Vaini. Good morning, Cindy. I hope all of you are doing fine. Well, to begin our class, good morning, Shiva. Good morning, Satvika. I'll again start with the same instructions. I am doing fine, Jayashankar. I hope you are doing well as well. Keep your videos off, and if you have to send any messages as you are sending now, send it on the ID Aste. Good morning, Deepak. I guess there were some disturbances in the last class. New chapter, yes, Ashwant. There were some spams as I could see in the room. I have thrown them out, removed them. There might be some genuine student as well. Now, if you are a genuine student, you must log in with your name. Okay. Once you are removed from the meeting, you will not be able to join it back again. So please remember that. Do not send messages which are not good. So if you are thrown out of the room thinking that you are a spam, you will not be able to join back again. So please don't do it, beta. Today's class, we'll start with a new chapter, which is projectile motion, or Santosh, good morning. The name of the chapter should be motion in 2D, motion in 2 dimension. Now, what do you mean by motion in 2 dimension? Up till now, whatever problems we were doing, whatever questions we were doing, the object was moving only along one axis. It was only moving along x-axis, or it was only moving along y-axis. That was known as motion in 1 dimension or motion in a straight line. To find out the position of the particle, we were only supposed to know one coordinate, either the x coordinate or the y coordinate. If the particle is moving along x-axis, we only need to know the x coordinate. If the particle is moving along y-axis, we only need to know the y coordinate. But from now onwards, the particle would be moving in a what? The particle would be moving in a plane. The particle would be moving in a plane. Now, what do you mean by a plane? You all have your mobile phone screens. The mobile phone screens looks like this. So your screen represents 2 dimension. Your screen represents 2 dimension. Imagine something moving on your screen like this in any particular fashion. It always remains on your screen. In my case, if I talk about screen, I have my writing pad. If something is moving on my writing pad, or if you have a table, something is moving on that table, any ant, any insect moving on that table, or you have a wall in front of you, an insect walking on the wall, moving randomly, or you have the ceiling on your top, something moving on the ceiling, that is moving on a plane, and that is known as motion in 2 dimension or motion in a plane. Now, in case of motion in 1 dimension, particle was moving along only along one axis. So we needed to know only one coordinate, that was the x coordinate or the y coordinate or the z coordinate. But when the particle is moving on a plane, for example, let me call this as xy plane. Let me call this as xy plane. A particle moving in the xy plane, it can move in any particular fashion, like this. Now, if it is moving like this, if I want to understand its position at any point in time, if I want to find out its position at any point in time, only one coordinate will not help. Let us say here the position is x1 and position along y is y1. At some other point, if you can see, both the x and the y coordinates of the particles are changing. Such type of motion is known as motion in a plane or motion in two dimensions. So to understand or to describe motion in two dimensions, we must know the position of the particle along two axes. So the particle will be moving in a plane. So the motion or the position should be known in terms of two axes, or two coordinates would be needed to describe its motion. Two coordinates. Either they can be x and y, if the particle is moving along xy plane, on the xy plane, or it can be y or z, if the particle is moving in the yz plane, or it would be x and z, if the particle is moving in the xz plane. Two coordinates would be needed to describe its motion, and hence it is known as motion in two dimensions or motion in a plane. Am I clear with this concept? Can I have some raise hand? Let's say we understand what is a brief introduction of motion in two dimensions or motion in a plane. The particle will be moving on a plane. Two coordinates would be needed to describe its motion. Let me wake people up from their sleep. Sudha, Bhavyati, Charita, Harshita, Tarun, Surendra, Siri, Spidey, Sai, Rahul, Padmakan, Likita, Shashank, Vaini, Santosh, Varsha, Anjali, Anil. I hope everyone is there and awake. Great. Sir, where is the coordinate? The coordinate lies in the third dimension. So if x and y, if x is horizontal, y is vertical, z goes like this. It comes in and out of the plane. So a particle moving in a plane, its position is changing. It's changing both in terms of two coordinates, x or y, y or z, x or z. In most of the cases, the question that we'll be doing will be in the xy plane. So don't worry about yz and xz. Doesn't matter. The particle will be moving in the xy plane. Its position will be changing both in terms of x coordinate as well as in terms of y coordinate. We would be needing two coordinates to describe its position, and hence it is known as motion in two dimensions. Am I clear? Okay. Now, this motion in two dimensions, when we are doing this motion in two dimensions, we'll be basically dealing with two types of motion in this motion in two dimensions. We'll be dealing with basically two different types of motion, two different cases of motion. The first one would be known as projectile motion. The first one would be known as projectile motion, and the second one would be known as circular motion. And if you remember very correctly, one of these motions, in fact, both of these motions we have already dealt with. There's nothing new that we are going to do. Trust me on that. There's nothing new that we are going to do. We have dealt with both of these motions in the previous class, in the previous chapter. Can anyone recollect it? Have we done both of these? If we have done both of these, where we have done both of these? Can you tell me, anyone? Anyone who remembers that we have done? Do we remember we had done questions where a body was moving on a circular path? Do we remember that? Body, I started describing distance and displacement using motion on a circle. Do we remember that? Do we remember that? I had given you questions where a particle was moving like this from A to B to C, yes or no? And then I told you that even though we are doing motion in one dimension, but we are starting with a problem from motion in two dimension. So that tells me that we have already done this circular motion wala part. Yes, we'll be coming back to the circular motion. Don't worry. We'll be doing it in more details in this class maybe. Yes, to find the velocity vector, to find the change in velocity, to find acceleration. We had done the circular motion wala part. Okay, we recollect this. That's great. Now tell me, have we done this projectile motion? Have we done this projectile motion? To understand whether we have done this projectile motion or not, we must understand the meaning of the word projectile. Anyone has any idea about the meaning of the word projectile? What does projectile mean? What does projectile motion mean? Anyone can give me any insight into what is the meaning of projectile or projectile motion? Hanak says 2D. Doesn't make sense, Hanak. Projectile means 2D, doesn't make sense. You have to tell me. Freely falling body. Yes, Reddy, Yashwant. That is correct. Any body, projectile is any body which is in flight under the influence of the force of gravity. Any body which is in flight, flight means flying in air, under the effect of force of gravity of earth, under the effect of force of gravity of earth. So anything, when we say gravity, we mean the gravitational force of earth. Any object which is just flying and the only force acting on it is the force of gravity of earth, that body is known as a projectile. That is a projectile. Think about all those satellites that are moving around Earth, the International Space Station, small satellites that all the countries have put, that gives us all the weather updates, that gives us your GPS coordinates in your mobile phone signals, everything are through satellites. All those satellites are nothing but what? All those satellites, International Space Station, they're nothing but they are projectiles, because they are flying and the only force acting on them is the force of gravity of Earth. Am I clear? Am I clear? The force of gravity of Earth. Anything which is in flight under the effect of force of gravity of Earth, can I have some raised hands, will be known as projectile. All these satellites, International Space Station, everything that you see flying under the effect of gravity are projectiles. I said that we have already done projectiles. We have not done satellites. We have not done question of satellites. Gravity works everywhere, beta. We have not done satellites, but I told you that we have done projectiles in the previous chapter. Force of gravitation always works everywhere. It works in space, it works in water, it works in hydrogen, it works in oxygen, it works everywhere. It works on Mars, it works on Venus, it works on the sun, it works everywhere in the universe. Where have we done this projectile motion? If I'm talking about the satellites or projectiles, we have not done any question on satellites. Then why did I say that we have done projectile in the last class, in the previous chapter? That means there is something else which is also a projectile. What is that something else which is a projectile, which we have already done? Anyone? And Hint is gravity of Earth. Hint is gravity of Earth. We have done ball thrown up. Question, says Karthik. Yes, this pen, if it is falling down, if it is falling down, if we throw a ball up, that is also a projectile, beta. That is also a projectile. So if we are throwing a ball in air, it's going up, it's coming down. That is also a projectile because the only force that is acting on it is the force of gravity of Earth. A ball thrown up, coming down in a straight line, that is also projectile. Am I clear? But that projectile, the motion of that projectile is happening in a straight line, and therefore we had done it in the first chapter, which was motion in a straight line, because that motion was happening in a straight line. Am I clear that we have already done projectile, sir? Ball thrown up is also a projectile, but the motion was in a straight line. We did not do it separately. We did it in motion in a straight line. Then what different are we going to do now in projectile? Why again projectile in motion in 2 dimension when this was also projectile? Because now the body is not going to move like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. The body is now going to move in a different fashion. Now, instead of throwing the ball up, let me call this as ground, X, and Y as the height above ground. In the first chapter, I was throwing the ball up, it was coming down, up, down, straight line. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw the ball in a different way. How I'm going to throw the ball in a different way? I am going to throw the ball like this with the initial velocity u at an angle theta. Now the ball will go up and down, yes, but it also move forward. The motion of ball will be something like this. Such type of motion is obviously a projectile motion. But we can call it by a different name. Such type of motion or such type of projection becomes oblique projection or oblique projectile, because this projectile is not thrown vertically upwards. If it is vertically upwards, it is also projectile motion, but that was motion in 1 dimension. Now it will be thrown at an angle to the horizontal. It will just not move up and down. It will move up and down, but it will also move forward. And such type of projectile is known as oblique projectile. Am I clear? Am I clear? What is oblique projectile? Projectile motion we have already done before, but now we are going to throw the ball at an angle, and hence this projectile motion is also known as, this type of projectile will be known as oblique projectile, and it will be moving along x-axis as well as along y-axis. Am I clear? Am I clear? So let us now discuss what is projectile motion and what are the assumptions that we are going to take in projectile motion. There are some assumptions that you must remember about projectile motion. So that is what you will write. You will write the heading projectile motion. Projectile motion. What is projectile motion? What is projectile motion? So what is the definition of projectile motion? Anyone? Any motion? Any motion that is taking place only under the effect of Gravity of Earth is known as projectile motion. Am I clear? Any motion that is taking place only under the effect of gravity of Earth is known as projectile motion. Am I clear? Okay. Projectile motion. That is projectile motion. Then there are some assumptions that you must remember about this projectile motion. There are some assumptions that you must remember about this projectile motion. What is assumption number one? What is assumption number one? The motion or the projectile is the body which is thrown up. Projectile is not powered, is not powered by any sort of fuel. So if it is powered by fuel, for example, a rocket is going up. Is it a projectile? Is a rocket going up? You're sending a rocket in space. Is that a projectile? Is that a projectile? Anyone? No. Why is not a projectile? Because it is not under the influence of gravity alone. It has been fueled. It has been powered by a fuel, and that fuel is propelling it, and hence it is not a projectile. A hot balloon. A hot balloon. You must have seen on this Discovery Channel. There are big balloons in which people can also move up and down. The big balloons filled with hot air. Are they projectiles? Are they projectiles? No, Goli, they are not projectiles because they are powered by hot air. That hot air is taking them up. Not gravity is not taking them up. Yeah, once you take down that hot air, there is no hot air at all. You flatten that balloon. Obviously, everyone is going to fall down and probably get killed. That will be a projectile. Yes, Yashwant, aeroplane is also not a projectile. But when the fuel of the aeroplane goes away, there is no fuel, and when it is falling back on Earth, a glider is a projectile because it is only under the influence of gravity. That is a projectile motion. Am I clear with this concept of projectile? The first assumption that we have made is the projectile must not be powered by anything else. Number two, it is only under the effect of what? It is only under the effect of what? Gravity. No other force would be acting on it. No other force apart from gravity acts on it. Please remember all these points because these points are going to make a lot of difference. No other force acts on it. Now, when you're talking about no other force, you might have seen, and that's a very famous experiment that was done. If you have two bodies, one is a stone, this is a stone, and this is a feather, stone and feather, stone and feather. And if I drop them from the same height, which one will reach ground first? Stone and a feather drop from the same height. Which one will reach the ground first? Stone. Why? Why will the stone reach the ground first? I'll show you. I will probably send a YouTube video, and it's a very big experiment that was done in a big vacuum space. I'll send you that video on your Telegram group and see what happens there. Okay, no, birds flying in air are not projectiles. They are using their muscle power. They are their muscle power. That's why they are flying. The stone reaches first, as most of you are saying, is because of skydiving is a projectile. If you're not using any muscular power, stone hits the ground first. Kite is no, kite is not a projectile because you are ting 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 using your muscle power and that dory. The stone falls first because it is heavier. But we had done questions on motion under gravity, and the acceleration was same for all the bodies. So whether I throw a stone or whether I throw a feather, remember first chapter, whether I throw a stone or whether I drop a feather, both of them will reach at the same time. That is what we had done in the question. I told you whether you drop a ball or you drop a stone, both of them will reach at the same time. But does that happen? You will say, no, sir, it does not happen. If I throw a stone and if I throw a feather, the stone will definitely fall first. All these things that we are doing is useless, worthless. No, it's not worthless. Something affects both of these things when they are falling. It also affects a feather. It also affects a stone. And that is what that makes the stone to fall first and a feather to fall at a later time. And that is known as, Viney says she has already answered it. Probably Viney, I missed it. What is that thing that makes the stone fall first and the feather to come very, 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 very slowly? Not the mass. It's known as air resistance. Air resistance. We are surrounded by an envelope of air, which is known as atmosphere, mixture of gases. Atmosphere, lot of gases are there. Now, when something moves inside a fluid, which is a gas or water, when you're walking inside water, can you walk at the same speed which we can walk on ground? No, you can't. It takes a lot of effort to walk inside water. Why? Because water is a fluid. It offers resistance to motion. Similarly, air or atmosphere is also a fluid. It's a gas. It also offers resistance. When you are driving in a car, the car is moving fast, and you come out of the car, and you will see a lot of air opposing your motion. The cars are made streamlined so that they can reduce that air resistance. You might have seen these bullet trains. You might have seen these fighter jets. They have a very peculiar shape at their front. All these fighter planes have a very pinpoint sort of structure at the front. Bullet trains have a very pinpointed structure of their engines. Why it is so? So that it cuts air and the motion becomes streamlined and they reduce the resistance of air. If there is no air, there is no air resistance and you can travel faster. You must have heard about this hyperloop that is probably going to come up. This hyperloop. In hyperloop, what they are going to do, they are going to create a tube and they are going to take the air out of that tube. There is no air. They will not be able to do it 100%. There is no air. There is no air resistance. There is no air resistance. Things can go faster, 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 faster with very less fuel. Once you move it, it will keep on moving. There is no resistance. Air resistance. So, in the questions for projectile motion, we have made a very important assumption. Feather and stone are going to fall at the same time. And when are they going to fall at the same time? When is a feather and a stone going to fall at the same time? I'll send you a YouTube video on that in your group. When there is no air resistance. So air resistance is neglected. Am I clear? There is no air resistance in vacuum. Yes, in vacuum this will happen. In vacuum this will happen. There is no air resistance. Am I clear? Am I clear? So we have neglected the air resistance of Earth. We have neglected air resistance. Again, there is one more thing that we have done. Acceleration due to gravity, G, is taken as constant. Because if G is not constant, the motion cannot be called as a projectile motion. So we have assumed that acceleration due to gravity is taken as constant. Am I clear? G is taken as constant both in magnitude as well as in direction, both in magnitude as well as in direction. Okay. Then sixth, the motion takes place. Motion is very close to the surface of Earth. These are the few assumptions that we have made. Why we have taken motion to be very close to the surface of Earth? Because as you move up, 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 the force of gravity becomes less. And hence acceleration due to gravity also changes. G also changes, small g also changes. And hence we have assumed that the motion is taking place very close to Earth. So based on all these assumptions, if a particle is moving, whether it's a stone or it's a feather, it will move under the effect of gravity alone, and that motion will be known as projectile motion. Am I clear? Am I clear? Up till this, can I have some raised hands? We have understood this. That the motion is going to take place under gravity. There will be no force acting on it. Air resistance is taken out. G is taken as constant, both in magnitude as well as in direction. And the motion takes place very close to the surface of Earth. Great one. Now, this motion is going to take place in a plane. We are going to discuss oblique projectile. So this motion will be in 2 dimensions. The particle will be moving forward as well as it is moving up and down. So the motion would be something like this. It will follow a path which will not be a straight line. Whenever something follows a path or a curve, that path or curve is known as the trajectory of the particle. So we are using the word trajectory for any path or any curve that the particle is following. If the particle is moving in a straight line, its trajectory is a straight line. The particle is moving in a circular motion, its trajectory is circular. Am I clear? Do you understand the meaning of the term trajectory? Someone asked me that. Do you understand the meaning of the term trajectory? Trajectory is nothing but the path which the body follows. The particle moves in a straight line, the trajectory is a straight line. If it moves in a circle, the trajectory is circular. Am I clear with this concept of trajectory? So the particle is going to move in a path which is known as a trajectory. Now the particle will be moving in x-axis as well as y-axis. So what we are going to do, it will be splitting up, or we will be discussing the motion in 2 parts. The motion of the particle is broken up into 2 parts. The motion would be broken up into 2 parts. Am I audible and visible to everyone? Okay. The motion would be broken up into 2 parts. What are those 2 parts? Particle is moving in the XY plane. The motion would be broken up into 2 parts. X-axis and Y-axis. We'll be breaking up the motion into 2 parts. the x-axis and the y-axis. Am I clear? So we'll be discussing the motion in two parts, the x-axis motion and the y-axis motion. Now the x-axis, will be the horizontal motion along the plane, along the ground. It will be known as horizontal. So if the x-axis is known as horizontal, what would be the y-axis known as? What would the y-axis be known as? Anyone? If the x-axis is known as horizontal motion, yes, Goli, yes. The y-axis will be known as vertical motion. Now, both of these horizontal and vertical motion, Swati, would be independent of each other. They would be independent of each other. Am I clear? Both these motions would be independent of each other. Both these motions would be independent of each other. Both these motions would be independent of each other. So we can discuss them separately. We'll discuss them separately. Am I clear? Am I clear? So horizontal motion will be discussed along x-axis and vertical motion would be discussed along y-axis. Now, let us first think about the horizontal motion. So let us write the heading horizontal motion. Let us write the heading horizontal motion. Let us write the heading horizontal motion. Now, what are the things that you must remember about the horizontal motion? What are the things that we must remember about this horizontal motion? Now, first of all, let us take an example that this is my x and y coordinates. This is my x and y coordinate. And the body would be thrown up like this with an initial velocity u at an angle theta. Okay. What is this u known as? What is this u known as? This u will be known as initial velocity or velocity of projection. This u will be known as initial velocity or velocity of projection. Clear? Okay. What is this theta then? What is this theta then? If u is the initial velocity or the velocity of projection, what will be theta known as? What will be theta known as? Anyone? What will be theta known as? Theta will be known as angle of projection. Am I clear? Theta will be known as angle of projection. Angle that u makes with horizontal. Horizontal is ground. This x-axis is your ground. This x-axis is your ground. Am I getting clear? Or am I getting too confusing for you to understand? Please raise your hands and tell me, sir, it's clear. Because things are going to get a bit more complicated as we go ahead in this class. Only 13 people have understood this. That's not good. Not good. Rahul, Bhavyati, Manasa, Tarun, Harshita, Surendra, Sana, Sai, Reddy, Likita, Yashwant, Kevin, Hanak, Satvika, Santosh, Varsha, Shreya, Harshvardhan, Anjali, Anil Kumar, 2037, 1CB0. I think both of these are spams. They must be thrown out. Okay. So, theta is the angle of projection. Now, this initial velocity u and an angle theta can be broken up into two components. Can be broken up into two components. What will those two components be? It can be broken up into two components. One component will be like this, and one component will be like this. Yes or no? You can call it as ux, initial velocity along x, and you can call this as uy, initial velocity along y. Am I clear? This initial velocity u, which is at an angle theta, has been broken up into two components, ux and uy. Ux and uy. What is the value of ux, anyone? We have already done this in vectors. What is the value of ux? What will be ux equal to? Vector at an angle theta. What is this component? What is that samne wala component? We have already done this in projection of vectors, resolution of vectors. This ux will be u cos theta. Do we recollect this? This will be u cos theta. And this uy will be u sin theta. Do we remember this? Uy will be u sin theta and ux will be u cos theta. Do we remember this? Only one people remembers this. Same, shame. We have done this in the previous chapter, resolution of vectors. The horizontal component is u cos theta and the vertical component is u sin theta. मैंने बताया था, I told you that whatever sides you make this angle theta, that axis becomes cos, the other axis becomes sine wala axis, right? Okay. Now we are going to break the motion into ux and uy. So this x wala motion becomes the horizontal motion. This x wala motion becomes the horizontal motion. And the y wala motion becomes vertical motion. Am I clear? Okay. Now x, the first thing that you must remember, that velocity along x, initial velocity along x is ux, and that will be equal to u cos theta. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? That will remain u cos theta. Now, okay. Ax. Now, what is the meaning of ax? What is the meaning of ax? What is the meaning of ax? If ux means initial velocity along x-axis, what is ax means? What is the meaning of ax? Ax means acceleration along x-axis. Acceleration of x, acceleration along x-axis. What is the acceleration along x-axis? Remember, we have taken some assumptions here. We have taken all these assumptions here. The assumptions are shown to you in green. Now apply some common sense and tell me how much will be the acceleration along x-axis. How much is the acceleration along x-axis? How much is the acceleration along x-axis? The motion is only taking place under the influence of gravity. So there is no acceleration along x-axis, and the acceleration along x-axis remains zero. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Okay. Now, since acceleration along x-axis is zero, velocity along x-axis remains what? Remains constant. Am I clear? Velocity along x-axis remains constant. Am I clear? So at any point in time, you can say ux will be equal to vx. At any point, the final velocity along x-axis will always be same as initial velocity along x-axis. Yes or no? Can I have some raised hands? That's how we have understood this. We have understood the basic concept of x and y. Am I clear? Okay, great. Now let us concentrate on the vertical component or the y-axis wala component. Let's move on to the y, which is the vertical. Let us move on to y, which is the vertical component. Okay. The initial velocity along y-axis. Remember, beta, we have to also, I've forgotten one thing, you have to also take sign convention here. You have to also take sign convention here. because we are doing question with sign convention. What will be my sign convention along x-axis? Anything moving like this would be positive. Anything moving like this would be negative. Yes or no? Positive and negative. So my initial velocity becomes plus. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Plus, because it is along positive x-axis. Am I clear with this? Okay. Now, I must also have sign convention along y-axis, and it will remain same. If something is going up, it will be positive. If something is coming down, it will be negative. Yes or no? We have not changed our sign convention. Our sign convention remains same. It does not change. It is always same. So that things are simpler for us. Now, let us look at what is the initial velocity along y-axis, uy. What will be the value of uy? Can anyone tell me what will be the value of uy? What will be the value of uy? What will be the value of uy? Initial velocity along y-axis. U sine theta, everyone has given me the correct answer, but everyone has missed the same thing that I have missed. Everyone has missed the same thing that I missed. Plus, yes, beta Santosh. I also missed it. You also missed it. We are all human beings. Don't make this mistake. Always remember the sign convention. Everyone got this? So you must choose plus. You must choose plus because it is directed upward. Shall I move on to the next point? What would be the next point? What would be the next point? You can tell me what would be the next point, sir. Sir, we know the next point. What would be acceleration along y-axis? What will be the acceleration along y-axis? What would be the Goli? You're wrong. What would be the acceleration along y-axis? What would be the acceleration along y-axis? And the answer is definitely G. G, which can be taken as 10, which can be taken as 9.8, but the sign is also important. The sign is also important. And what is the sign for this G? It is minus. Yes or no? Minus, because G is always downwards. G is always downwards. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Now, since there is an acceleration in the y-axis, velocity along y-axis keeps on changing. Velocity along y-axis keeps on changing. Yes or no? Can I have raised hands? Yes, sir. We understand this, sir. Velocity along y will keep on changing because there is an acceleration along y-axis. Now forget about what is happening along x-axis. Forget about what is happening along x-axis. Forget. What will happen along y-axis? As I told you, the motion along x-axis and the motion along y-axis are independent of each other. They don't depend on each other. So while we are discussing y-axis, we can forget x-axis motion. And while we are discussing x-axis, we can forget y-axis motion. Why we can do that? Why we can do that? Anyone? While we are discussing x-axis, we can forget y-axis because they are independent. Okay. Now, what is happening along x-axis? Forget. Now, what will happen along y-axis? So now the question is very simple. I have thrown something up with a velocity u sine theta plus u sine theta. What will happen to this velocity? First velocity will decrease. Velocity will decrease while going up. Velocity will decrease while going up, yes or no? And then it would increase, yes or no? And then it would increase, yes or no? You understand this? Yes, that is the next point, beta. At the highest point, velocity along y would be 0. Do we understand this small point? Very important point. Yes, Yashwant. Forget about x-axis. What is happening along x-axis? X and y-axis are independent of each other. We just have to discuss the motion along y-axis. At the highest point, the velocity ka y component becomes 0. Am I clear? Am I clear? Yes or no? Okay. Now I can also add this point number 6. The speed will be same when it hits back. When it hits back the ground, the speed will be same, but what about the velocity? When it hits back, what will be the velocity? Speed will be same. I have thrown it with the speed of u sine theta. With how much speed will it fall back? It will fall back with the same speed, but velocity would be minus u sine theta. Do we understand this? It's same as what was happening in motion under gravity. I was throwing a ball up. Whatever speed I throw it up, it falls back on ground with the same speed, but the velocity ka direction changes. Am I clear? Am I clear? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this, sir? Am I clear? Do we understand this, everyone? Let me have a recap of the points that we have discussed. We'll be discussing this motion of projectile in two parts, along x and along y. X will be known as horizontal motion. Y will be known as vertical motion. They are independent of each other. We have an initial velocity u with which the particle is thrown up. This is known as velocity of projection or initial velocity. Then we have an angle theta, which is known as the angle of projection. You can resolve this velocity along two components, ux, initial velocity along x, which is u cos theta, uy, which is initial velocity along y, which is u sine theta. With sign convention, it becomes plus u cos theta and plus u sine theta. We discussed the motion along horizontal and vertical. Along horizontal, the velocity, initial velocity is ux, which can be called as plus u cos theta. The acceleration along x is 0. So the velocity along x-axis will always remain same. At any point, the initial velocity, jitni x mein hai, whatever velocity is along x, same velocity will remain along x at all points. But along vertical, initial velocity is plus u sine theta upwards. Acceleration is minus g because it is downwards. So velocity along y would be changing. First it will go up, then it will come down. One point we have missed. I'll come to that point. One, it will go up, then it will come down. While it is going up, velocity and speed will decrease. it will become 0 at the highest point. Then while coming down, the speed would increase. It will strike the ground with the same speed, but the velocity would be minus u sine theta. Anyone has any doubts up till this point, please raise. One thing, time taken to go up would be equal to what? Time taken to go up would be equal to, we have done this in the previous chapter. Time taken to go up will be equal to time taken to come down. Yes. Do we understand this? Anyone has any doubt, please raise your hands. Time taken to go up will be equal to time taken to go down. Great, 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 great. One more point we can add here. What will be the total time of flight? Total time of flight. Time of flight means the time it remains in air. Total time of flight is the time it remains in air. What will be total time of flight? It will be equal to time taken to go up plus time taken to come down. I can write it like this. Time taken to go up plus time taken to come down. Or I can write it like this also. 2 times time taken to go up or 2 times time taken to come down. Yes or no? Yes or no? Please raise your hands that we have understood this, sir. We have discussed the brief points about projectile motion. Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with here? Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with here? Anyone? Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with here? Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with here? Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with here? Anyone has any idea? I think you can see it on your screens now. Which type of projectile motion have we dealt with? We have to deal with 3 types of projectile motion. Yes, Goli. That is what we call it as number 1. As you can see on your screen, oblique projectile motion of cricketer hitting the ball in air. That is oblique projectile motion. The ball does not go up and come down. It goes up. It also goes farther. It also goes along x-axis. It also goes along y-axis. That is your first point. That is what we'll start with. With these points, we'll start with oblique projectile motion. Then we'll move on to horizontal projectile motion. Inclined motion, we might deal at a later stage. It's not that easy to understand this. And we'll be dealing it at a later stage. So these are the 3 types of projectile motion that we are supposed to do in the course of this class. We'll be dealing with number 1 and number 2. 3 we'll be dealing at a later stage. So that's about it for the projectile motion. In the next class, we'll be discussing the different equations of motion. One question, will the equations of motion be same or will it be different? Time to think about. I will ask the office people to put in the study material. Do you have the study material for this one in your app? Do you have it in your app? The study material for motion in 2 dimension? I will check it out and I'll ask them to put it on your app. So we'll meet in the next class and we'll be discussing the equations of projectile motion. And I hope that in the next class before you come, you will go through all these points that we have discussed. If you're not able to make the notes, don't worry. After the class, I'll send you this. I'll send you the PDF of this. Have a look at this. I'll also send you the video of that falling down wala thing. Probably you will be very excited to see that. I'll do that. So from my end, the class is over. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Else, it's bye-bye from my end. I hope you remain safe, healthy, and happy. Bye-bye. If you